To see one great officer makes my heart proud. You're a man of courage, a man of honor, a man of dignity. We stand with you and support you, and thank you for being a role model in the city of Chicago, across this nation, for law enforcement. Give him a loving round of applause. Why is it important that we honor and respect Officer Davis? He has a wife, he has children, he looks forward to retirement, but he has sacrificed personal possession. He has sacrificed things that others covet. Why? Because he has integrity. And when you see one person with integrity, the mayor should be here. The governor should call his name out. Elected officials should stand beside him. He restores truth and dignity. Officers should be here with him, knowing this is a man of courage. As we look at the fiscal calamity that we are now facing right here in the city of Chicago, our Bible has something to say about corruption and how a city and a nation can fail. I also want to thank the Right Reverend Brother Freddie Haynes. He is in South Africa today, and what a pleasure, what a privilege it is to know him. And when he graces the Rainbow Push Forum, we thank him, and we're all the richer. He's sharing that talent in South Africa today. And for my father to call so that I can be with him, and Reverend Haynes first says yes, and then tells my father, I will check with my calendar. I'm coming, Reverend, because you asked. Reverend Haynes, I thank you so much. It's so few that do so much for so many. And people call on Reverend Haynes, and Reverend Haynes, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to say thank you to the president of Guadeloupe in the Lesser Antilles of the Caribbean. He hosted my father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, as they dedicated a museum to those that are in the diaspora, those that have fought slavery, not just survived slavery, those of the abolitionists, those of the emancipators. And it's an island, if you will, in the Lesser Antilles, and you know the area. They call them the ABCs of the Curacao, Barbados, where George Washington and his brothers had to go. Well, the wealth of Europe got its foundation from the sugar plantations, all the rums that you know of, all the candies that you eat. These sweet, fertile soils produced all of that sugar, and the greed that mankind has taken out on these people, they punished them and killed off the Indians. Oh, we thank God for the president that hosted us, President Victorine Laurel from Guadeloupe. Can you imagine a nation of just 400,000 people that would build the most remarkable museum dedicated to emancipation and the history of slavery in the entire world? Let me put it in perspective. A museum that is state-of-the-art, that has holograms, digital, that cost over 120 million US dollars, that's on an island that is inhabited by only 400,000 people. A small island with a great man, with a great vision, leading his people to a greater future. Why is the museum so necessary there? Why is it so necessary here? Why should we bring our children to the Rainbow Push? We have to educate our people to lift them back up. The president, Sergi Lichtman, the president of Martinique, who hosted my father, who was so warm and hospitable. It was in 2012 when the president then of France said there are greater and lesser civilizations. Who would have the unmitigating gall, the audacity from a small French island to look at the president of France and tell him there are no greater and lesser civilization? The president of France at that time, and they haven't done it in 110 years, turned his back on the president of Martinique and walked out. There, my father, thanks to the aid of Mrs. Marilyn, a wonderful woman, brilliant professor at Howard University, a colleague and a protege of the great Dr. Ron Walters, helped my father craft the letter. They sent it in support to the president of Martinique, and he says, I thank you for your support, Reverend Jackson, during a dark period of my life. And the president of France that had promised to punish this island nation didn't lift a finger, and the president of France subsequently lost that election. President of Martinique, we have so much respect for you. Fight on, young man. What a trip we just experienced. And ladies and gentlemen, we are only at the beginning, as my father describes, of our fourth stage of our struggle, true emancipation. The president of Guadeloupe has a mindset that he says, now we have to fight for equal chance. Equal chance. The president of Martinique is fighting to make sure that everyone in his country has equal access to higher education and business opportunity. Let's bring it on home to Chicago. There are some things I truly deplore, but a coward and a man that abuses women hits me particularly in a bad way. And to see Sister Bland, as they say, killed herself. I hate a coward in the state of Texas like I hate a coward in the state of Illinois. Look at the pattern here. They said she was stopped and subsequently arrested for changing lanes. I know there's a lot more to the story, but I like to go back to in the beginning. She was arrested for changing lanes, Dad. Michael Brown in Ferguson was shot and killed for jaywalking. All the other events escalated and ensued until we ultimately ended up with an officer who's a liar that said he looked evil and he swole up and then started breathing hard and then started charging my SUV, so I had to unload my gun. This is what an officer said in America. Trayvon Martin, a child. You don't visit your dad, you live with your dad. A child was going home after halftime of the NBA All-Star game, having bought some Skittles and an iced tea. Where the unarmed Negro, dangerous black male youth imagery all came in is purely racist. A child went to get some Skittles at halftime. Contrast that with Mr. Zimmerman, who always wanted to be an officer, that cannot be an officer because he's fought an officer but does not have a felony, a record for it. Mr. Zimmerman, who has known to show a proclivity towards violence, who's doing it over and over, whose wife said he's a very violent man, who keeps having skirmishes with the law, in fact is a lawbreaker, and still has been returned his gun now that has notches in it. These are children. Mr. Garner in New York, if you still haven't caught up with me yet, a man who they said had cigarettes on him, Lucy's, who had nothing on him at that time. Young men that call themselves officers walk up behind him, jump on his back, unarmed with an undercover outfit on, and stranglehold him like he's a brute beast, like he's a feral pig in America in the new millennium. We're singing on and on. Rekia Boyd, I'm talking to you, Commander, right here in Chicago. We've had a young lady who was outside minding her own business in this city, Mr. McCarthy, who an officer off duty, unidentified, steps outside of his house and starts shooting, shoots one man in the hand, shoots this woman in the head, and our superintendent of police, yes, yes, you're a coward. You say Officer Servin never should have been charged, and he shot a young woman in the head right here in Chicago. What does Chicago do that has the lowest credit rating of any major city in America? They think they can just pay us money for our blood that's on the street after they kill women right here in Chicago too. We go to Texas and see Miss Bland. She was changing lanes. Come on up here, Dad. She was changing lanes. And I ask you, good people, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? You're not here because it's not your business. You're not here because you don't care yet. You want to approach somebody and give the Reverend another note, another sheet of paper, and say, Reverend, I'm not with the rest of them. This is just my family and my business and my issue. And what my father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, has dedicated a life in the name of the Reverend Martin Luther King, in the name of Toussaint L'Ouverture, in the name of Denmark Vesey, in the name of Phyllis Wheatley, in the name of all of those great abolitionists. He's trying to tell you we have a collective consciousness. Let's not wait for one. Let's deal with some. Let's deal with all. When one of us is hurt, all of us is hurting. When one of us gets free, let us get all free.